that Ilivasi was the coach of the Flying Fijians in the 2007 World Cup in France, and Wamelewa Ravu was in the team, Flying Fijian, playing lock, and came into the team that got South Africa right on the edge of the cliff at 20 points all, and the famous comments by Joe Smith from the Springboks saying they thought that Fiji had them at that time 20 all, and by that time in 2007 Rugby World Cup in the quarterfinals, the All Blacks were already knocked out, the Wallabies were already knocked out, and here we had the Flying Fijians almost knocking out the Springboks. Coach, that's a special moment. How did you get to that with the process that you had?
It is. It has always been a special moment. And it's not only for us, player, or as a coach in itself. It was a special moment for the nations. For us, I mean, we had only about 8 weeks to prepare. PVAC left in February. There was about 9 months for us to prepare. And we had to put together a team and a plan. Peter Murphy was then the high performance manager. And we sat down. I said, personnel was ideal for us to get. It's a short time and a short turnaround. The right people, and I guess in the right position, and the players that we must actually pick, and at the same time with the team or with the staff that we wanted. We had a total local staff, all local staff. The head of medical, the head of physio was all local, with only 2 overseas assistant personnel. And then it was, I guess, the identity. One was the identity of who we are, who we represented, and where we want to go. And then it was the education, the inductions of what we wanted to achieve and how we're going to do it, in preparing ourselves to where we want to, and the goal we set ourselves. The goal that we set ourselves was to the quarterfinals. We knew that nobody was actually going to see that we will get there, but I guess when seeing the players there, believing in what we wanted to put ourselves through and how we're going to get there. I remember one day on the 6th week, the captain Moses Rauluni came up and said, Ili, do you want to kill us? I said, that's what I want to hear. I said, you can go through that threshold and get back and get going. And that's, then we moved, I guess we tailor back the training into 2 days, because we were training for three times a day. It was morning, midday, afternoon. When he said that to me, I knew then that these guys were willing to take it to the next level. And I guess the team, one is a team spirit. They were educated enough to understand what's required of them. It's then team building. There was no I in the team, it was we. How are we going to get there, and how are we going to do it, and do it as a team. Who for our family, for who we represent, for our country, and for the people out there, our supporters, who's going to be screaming out for us. And looking back at it, and I guess sometimes you wonder, and there was, I guess, the conversation with the Players Association. It started there when I spoke to some of the guys.
In 2007.
We spoke about this, and I said, as we move on to this, I would want to see a Players Association as the game was evolving, and we need more representation. We need players to be more educated, not only to be a rugby player, but there is life after rugby. But could you use, rather than just playing rugby, use education as a leverage, and how we could empower ourselves. So that, I guess, conversation started off then. And there was you know, it followed through. Then after a while, it took turn, but eventually it came back. And sure enough, a player in 2007. We're here now, and you know, hopefully that this will turn Fiji rugby into a better trends moving forward.
And knowing that you've played, and you've coached, and just going back to that day when Fiji was playing the Springboks, and we had them at the edge of the cliff. What was going through your mind as the coach, as you're sitting in the coach's box?
You know, we just couldn't believe ourselves that this is what it is. I guess after the game, or even before that game, we were just saying to ourselves, you know, what's after this? Because our goal was to get to the quarterfinal. You know, it was never. I mean, South Africa later went on to win the World Cup. You know, for us it was just, you know, the pass. It was just the arm. It could have turned the game the other way around. Rwanga, Rambeni. It was just
patience.
Yeah, I mean, it was the adrenaline was there, the spirit was there. I guess, I mean, it's just the patience with it. I guess for me, sitting there, it's just I couldn't believe myself that this is, you know, these young guys came all the way from Fiji, but you know, not all of them. There was only 2 guys that came from overseas. The rest was all local, and to actually put a team which has got 8 million budget for the World Cup, and for us we were struggling trying to get ends meet, put them to the sword and question them. Okay, come on, let's play. That is a magic moment, and will always be with me as a coach and as a supporter of Fiji rugby.
Surely magical indeed. Wame, you were on the field, you played in that final. What was, I mean, first of all, Ilivasi talked about the process and the build up to it. Mojiro Luni talking to him, are you killing us here, based on what was the process leading up to knowing that you had about 9 weeks. So from your perspective as a player, knowing that the players are watching this out there as well, and those who are fans who are watching it may not know what the players have to go through to deliver at that level.
Those 9 weeks was quite intense, with a lot of challenges coming with it, in terms of equipment and the necessary tools to help us prepare for the World Cup. I guess that's where the discussion for the Player Welfare Association came up. But we never voiced it publicly. It was always within us, because we had a duty, and for most of us, I think 40% or 50% of the team were just locals. So we put our hand up and we said we're going to go through this. We won't complain, because, you know, a lot of kids out there, a lot of young men out there wanted to be part of their World Cup team, and we were quite blessed enough to be picked for that team. So there was not much of a moaning or complaining, but we knew that, you know, we needed this. I think if we had the necessary tools, equipments, accommodation, nutrition, I think we would have gone right up to the finals. Probably because of that, that's probably the reason why we just aimed for the quarterfinals. After the game, then we realized we could have gone as far as the finals or second runner-up. So I guess it comes back to the preparation. But going back to your question, in the lead up to that the World Cup, 9 weeks was quite intense, and then when we came there, it was a different atmosphere altogether. Quite nerve-wracking, nervous. You know, you're just playing at Ratuvakombo Park, Lawanga Park, National Stadium, and all of a sudden you see the 70,000, 80,000 crowd screaming at you. A big television, video shooting and a crowd and everything. Yeah, it's quite an experience. But thankfully we had a program that was running before that, as I mentioned before, for the local boys that was here. That actually helped us adapt quickly. in the environment of the Rugby World Cup.